Welcome back to Astroneer, and I, Zelly, have some more 1.0 tips and tricks for you. And today, resources. All the resources and all the recipes you'll ever need to know. Yes, resources. We're going to look at every resource throughout the entire universe, but we're going to need some equipment to help us unlock them, such as a smelting furnace and a chemistry lab. These will help us unlock more refined resources along the way, and without them, we simply cannot do it. So how do we unlock all these resources? Well, come with me, I'm going to show you. So get excited, let's go! Sweet! So let's look at our base materials. Without these base materials, you cannot progress in the game. Now, it's hard to know which ones you need, so let's have a look at them all. And these are your natural resources. Natural resources can be found on some but not all planets, so some materials can be harder to find than others. But the ones on the step are smeltables, so they can go in a furnace and be processed into something else. Now, the resources on the ground here are non-smeltable, but are only used in crafting and in further refinement in a chemistry lab. Now, Astronium is the odd one out here, as it has no use in further refinement or any craftables, and is only useful for research. So, smelting is our first stage in refinement, and here we are using a recipe for carbon. By collecting organics from the surface in the shape and form of flowers and flora, you can smelt that into carbon. Carbon can be used in the medium generator to provide power. It's also used in further recipes. Our next recipe requires quartz. Quartz is a common resource and can be found on the surface and in deep caves. Once smelted, it turns into glass. Glass can be used in crafting recipes, in making oxygen tanks, small wind turbines, and can be used to even produce modules. Next up, we have wolframite. Wolframite is not found on the starting planet Silver, but can be found on the surface of planets like Calidor. Once smelted, wolframite is transformed into tungsten, which is used in further recipes in the chemistry lab. Titanite, another resource not found naturally on Silver, but can be found on Visenya and Glacio. Once smelted, it turns into titanium, which can be used in other crafting recipes and in the chemistry lab. Here we have clay. Clay is a very common resource that can be found on the surface and in caves on most planets, and it is smeltable into ceramic. Ceramic is used in a variety of recipes, from large storage to craftable modules, and it's even used in the making of a drill. Malachite. Malachite is a common resource found on Silver and other planets, and it is found in the mountainous regions and in deep caves. Once smelted, it produces copper. Copper is used in a wide variety of chemistry lab recipes and craftables. Laterite. Laterite is found on most planets, making it a very common resource. It can be found in caves in large deposits. Once smelted, this makes aluminum. Aluminum is used in the chemistry lab and in craftables, such as the tractor and the trailers, which both require aluminum. Next is one of my favourites, sulfurite. Sulfurite can be found on most planets, whether it be in caves or on the surface of some. Once smelted, this produces zinc, and zinc is one of my favourites because it makes mods. Not only that, it's used in the process of making power cells and batteries. Our last smeltable is hematite. Hematite is not naturally found on the starting planet Silver, but can be located on planets such as Glacio and Novus. Iron is used in an incredible amount of recipes and craftables, from large platforms to shredders to even making steel. Woo! So that is all our smeltables. There are no more, but there's still more to learn. So what is our next step? Well, the chemistry lab, of course. Science time! So with the chemistry lab, you can create more complex resources. So here we're going to be taking organic and resin and turn that into rubber. Rubber is used to make rovers. Well, how else do you think they're going to make the tyres? Next up in the name of science, we're going to be combining some carbon and some compound. These two together will make fantastic plastic. Plastic is used in the creation of the atmospheric condenser. For this recipe, we are going to be taking some of our smelted metals, such as aluminum and copper. Together, these make aluminum alloy. Aluminum alloy is vastly used in Exo Dynamics craftables, from rovers to shuttles. With a sprinkle of tungsten and a splash of carbon, you can put these together to make another precious metal. This precious metal is tungsten carbide. Tungsten carbide is used in the making of the large shredder. It is also used in the making of the strength 2 drill. This next recipe you won't forget in a hurry. This one requires hydrazine and graphite. Graphite can be found on the surface of most planets around rocky areas, such as mountains. Hydrazine and graphite together produce graphene. Graphene is a very heavily used resource. It's used in further refinements in the chemistry lab and also in crafting. Speaking of graphene, if you mix two of those together, what do you get? Well, you only get one of the most shiny and sparkly things in the entire universe. Graphene plus graphene equals diamond. Diamond is a very special resource within the game, and it is used in the crafting of top-end drills. This next recipe is one of the backbones to the chemistry lab. It is hydrazine. It requires 2 ammonium, which ammonium can be found in the forests on Silver and in the mushroom biome deep below the surface. It also requires a gas, which is hydrogen, so it's 2 ammonium, 1 hydrogen equals 1 hydrazine. Hydrazine is vitally important because it is your fuel to get out to the other planets. Next, we have our second 3-resource recipe. This one requires resin, quartz, and methane. Methane is not a natural gas found on Silver, but can be located on Novus and Atrox. Mixing these ingredients together gives you silicon. Silicon is used in the production of the crane. Here is another one of my favourites. Now this recipe requires 3 resources again. The first one being sulfur, which is a gas which is not naturally found on Silver, but can be found on Calidor and Atrox. Mix this together with 2 carbon and it gives you explosive powder. Explosive powder is exclusively used in the making of dynamite and fireworks. This next recipe is a solid one. Now, it requires argon, which is a gas not naturally found on Silver, but is found on Viscenia and Glacio. It also requires iron and carbon. Mixing these three together gives you steel. Two of the crafting recipes required for steel are the extra large storage and the crane. Not only that, steel is used in further refinements in the chemistry lab. Next up is another high-end metal. This one requires nitrogen, which can be naturally found on Silver. Also a piece of titanium and graphene. And this one makes titanium alloy. Titanium alloy is used in a lot of crafting recipes and is used to make one of the highest end resources in the game. And here is that high-end resource, requiring titanium alloy, steel and helium. Helium only being found on the planet Atrox is hard to obtain, but this produces nanocarbon. This recipe alone is incredible, and it requires so many processes. Organic into carbon, hematite into iron, titanite into titanium, ammonium and hydrogen into hydrazine, hydrazine and graphite into graphene, iron, carbon and argon into steel, titanium, graphene and nitrogen into titanium alloy. And there it is, folks, that is everything from the chemistry lab. There is no more recipes for us to do, but there is one more resource. So come with me as we have to create a mess. Our final process is shredding. This will give us our final resource, and that resource being scrap. Taking debris from around the world or using your old and unwanted items, you can shred these into scrap. Scrap cannot be used in any recipes and is solely just for trading. Yay! So we have crafted and created all our resources in the game. There's no more. That's it, we're done. After all that, I count 42. 42 wonderful resources for you to find, craft and create in this awesome world. From natural to our smeltables, to scrappables, to the finest resources you can create. Most of these take many items just to produce one. And finally, the gases. But that's it from me, folks. There is no more resources and no more recipes. So go out there into the universe and find your own. Until next time, my friends, like, subscribe, and a ciao for now.